Thank you, Bill. I have been a statistician, and that's initially how I got involved in the security field through intrusion detection and doing what is now called machine learning through detecting anomalies in data streams. And somehow, still with that background, they let me into the College of Engineering here, and I'm infinitely grateful. So this cluster is about responding to and managing cyber events. And the motivation for it is, of course, we have extensive deployment of a grid cyber infrastructure. It's bringing a lot of advantages into the grid, safe, efficient, reliable grid operation, preventing blackouts and so forth, integration of renewables, enabling emerging technologies such as microgrids, as Tom referred to. However, this does present an attack surface. In varying ways, we have a number of devices that are out in the field, on pole tops, on people's houses, increasingly in people's homes in the sense of smart appliances and thermostats and so forth, all the way up to automatic generation control. So at all stages of the grid, we have cyber enablement. And obviously, we seek to build the most trustworthy systems that we can, but cyber events occur. So a cyber event would be maybe something that you detect only on the cyber side. There is something that meets a malware signature that's going around in a substation network. Or, as we view it, it can be a cyber physical detection that there's some kind of anomaly on that network. And we also may observe an anomaly in the physical response of some piece of equipment. So we are addressing cyber events through advanced grid-aware detection mechanisms. Grid-aware, as I believe Bill referred to it in the opening talk, is that we are cognizant of the fact that these systems, as our sponsor says, must obey the laws of physics. And several of the activities in this cluster are looking at detection techniques that are somewhat adapted perhaps from network detection techniques, but that they're also looking at physical measurements of the system in response of the devices. The benefit is that we want a grid that ultimately is self-aware, self-healing, and it has these attributes from the cyber as well as the physical standpoint. So what is the history of the field? I think people have been concerned about cybersecurity of infrastructure systems for some time, but I believe it really took off sometime around the 2005 time frame. Before that, you had isolated systems, serial connections, security through obscurity, and so forth. Then what I call the Middle Ages, there was a lot of activity in terms of adapting enterprise cybersecurity. In terms of intrusion detection systems, for example, people published signatures for commercial and open source intrusion detection systems, and these were incorporated into grid systems as well as into other infrastructure systems such as in oil and gas. Security incident event management, now called log management, but then maybe companies like ArcSight and then ultimately C3 are trying to take this into analytics. Tom Siebel showed the picture of the log from an intrusion detection device. It's unintelligible. It will put you to sleep in 5 minutes. I have manned one of these on test deployments. And you want to extract intelligence from it and know what you do, what you should be doing. And in relation to that, I'll point out to our other sponsor, DHS, Doug Mon and Greg Wigton, the involvement in the Logic project, which at that time was fairly innovative in incorporating a number of intrusion detection techniques with true security incident event management. Now, of course, you're all here, so there's wide security awareness in the sector, and we have sector-specific solutions. People see that this is a commercial opportunity, obviously the keynote speaker. And then we also have the regulatory framework, which is guiding and motivating some of the adoption of the solutions. The cluster has a number of activities going: response and recovery engine, forensics, AMI malware detection, and as Bill mentioned, we're very proud that the recent Smart Grid Com, that the authors of that paper won the Best Paper Award. And then we have several activities in intrusion detection for smart grid, leveraging real-time properties as well as specification-based intrusion detection on a number of smart grid protocols, including, for example, DNP3, and also Analyzer, which is a specification-based intrusion detection for the advanced metering infrastructure. Specification-based intrusion detection has been something that people have been talking about in enterprise systems for a time, and the idea is you specify correct behavior and you alert on anything that's outside of that. In enterprise systems, in practice, that has been very hard because coming up with an adequately faithful formal representation of the specification that truly reflects the system as implemented has been hard. But the systems we're dealing with are somewhat more constrained in function, and that approach to intrusion to attack detection is feasible, and we've demonstrated with a couple of the technologies that we now have fielded. We have some previous activities coordinating black start using synchrophasers, matching up two systems that have been disconnected, getting them in phase by communicating the synchrophaser PMU data back and forth. Hardware IDS for smart meters, I believe there was a picture of that in one of the earlier talks. This is an open hardware platform that we developed here to look at some of the by looking at some of the low-level voltages and that kind of thing in a smart meter, you might be able to detect some hardware malware, as well as usable management tools for the smart grid data avalanche, revisiting some of the themes that have already come up this morning in terms of just the amount of data that's coming about. Some of our recent accomplishments, we're proud of Analyzer, which is in a pilot deployment at a major utility. We have several projects that are going that comprehend the cyber and physical state, DNP3 security, and we're looking at data from our friends at Ameren to try to get that to be something that's not just in the lab, but relevant in the real world. Teddy, tamper event detection and distributed infrastructure, I believe I have that right, is looking at distributed detection in field devices, pole top devices, and so forth, and a fair amount of work in embedded system security. This will all be in the poster sessions tonight, and I encourage you to visit those presenters. And then from event management, we're going to response and recovery, which is considering what you believe is the cyber-physical picture, doing some kind of an optimization to determine what the best response action would be in terms of network isolation, taking devices offline, system reconfiguration, and so forth. Some of the current challenges are we still have limitations of legacy enterprise security solutions when you apply them to infrastructure systems. And I think we're just beginning to create detection, response, and recovery environment at multiple levels of abstraction. Obviously, somebody detecting something in a substation needs a different level of detail than a system operator. We think it is essential to comprehend what's going on physically in the hardware and the software and the networks. And we want to be sure that the detection is right by looking at some of the physical effects that the attack might be causing, and then guide the response accordingly. And of course, to validate the solutions in real-world environment. We're very keenly interested in doing that. Some further opportunities coming up, advanced security analytics, again, very much in line with the keynote speech, integrating cyber and physical indicators, different views, system operator view, substation view, maybe regulator view, and so forth. Cloud is coming, and we want to be able to inform effective incident response, whether that incident is malware at a substation or perhaps something on a regional or even a grid scale. More opportunities, security detection, modeling, optimization, big data analytics, got to say it. But the thing is, again, coming back to an earlier question about the human factors in this, it must be intuitive. You have to be aware that you have a human in the loop. And it has to be easy to use, give you a good answer, and real people who are not security experts must be able to implement it. You have a very heterogeneous ecosystem of devices. Your solutions have to be aware of the consequences of the solution. The resiliency may imply graceful degradation of the system. And effective planning, response, and of course restoration of cyber and physical assets to a system more secure than before the incident took place. That's it.
Thanks very much. And you can see this isn't. You can see that this is a cluster area that we think is of growing importance, and we've really been able to start to make real impact in industry. I mean, for example, in Analyzer, First Energy is using that to monitor on the order of 50,000 meters in a pilot deployment. That's just one example of the kind of transition we've been able to achieve. There's time for a quick question or two.